Hi.
Hi! This is our project on the Revolutionary War. In the Revolutionary War, there were many types of weapons, such as the brown bess, which was the most used weapons that was used by the soldiers during that time, although it's not very accurate and is unreliable in the rain. The average soldier was expected to fire off one shot every 20 seconds. There are 11 steps to firing a musket or a brown bess. To start, you had to get a cartridge and tear it open with their teeth. Next, they had to pour a little bit of powder into the firing mechanism, then put the rest of the powder and ball down the barrel. Next, you had to ram the ball and powder down with the ramrod. And then you had to replace the ramrod and half-cock the hammer. Next, you have to place the copper percussion cap and slowly cock the hammer, and finally aim and fire.
Even though they had their guns and swords, they still had cannons for extra power. There was a crew of 14 men for each cannon. Each man had their own job and the tools they needed to perform that job. Each job ranged from calculating the proper elevation for the cannon to lighting the fuse when ready to fire. The range was hundreds of yards, and if it fired correctly, would take out 12 men at a time. Washington's Continental Army practiced loading and firing until the complicated process became second nature.
The bayonet transformed an ordinary musket into a very effective spear. This was useful for close hand-to-hand combat. Untrained soldiers were even known to retreat in the face of a bayonet attack. Bayonets were originally designed for the inside of a barrel of a musket and were called plug bayonets, which were replaced with ones that could fit over the barrel of the musket, which were called socket bayonets and were more effective.
The rifle was not the first choice for a weapon for soldiers, but were much more accurate than muskets because of grooves or rifling inside the barrel that literally made a rifle a rifle. They took a long time to load, which caused them to have to clean them more often. But the bayonets could not be attached to the barrel of the rifle.
Pistols were used mostly by officers and cavalry during this time period. Also, these guns were only good for very close range because they were smooth-bore, which meant that they had no grooves on the inside to help with accuracy. Almost always, they had decorations carved into the trigger housing and the stock.
Thank you.
And this is Maxie, by the way.
Maxie, yeah. And Sophie's barking.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye!
These are some of the guns that would be used in the Revolutionary War. This is the black powder gun. Rifle. Black powder rifle. And it would be loaded by taking the black powder, pushing it down into here. It would come down here. Then you would take a wad and you put it the same way. And then you take a silver ball and push it down. Then you would take the ramrod, which is here, and you take it out. And you'd push it down into here. And you'd
I don't think you're supposed to let it go.
pack it down. You take it out. And back in here. Oh, sorry. And then everything would be packed into here. And then to fire it, you would pull the trigger. This would come back and it would snap forward and it would make a spark. And then the spark would ignite the black powder that was in here. And it would make it go straight out. And it would go it would go out and make like explosion. And they weren't really accurate, so you would have to shoot like a bunch to actually hit something. Because they weren't accurate because they didn't have grooves on the inside, which wouldn't make it spiral. Which, if it spiraled, it would go straight, but it just goes straight out, so it would kind of go like that. So, yeah.
And the average soldier was expected to fire off one shot every 20 seconds.
And then usually in the Revolutionary War, they would have a bayonet. I forgot what it was called. A bayonet on the top of there, and you would kind of it was used for close combat, where you would stab somebody with it. And then this one is it's a pistol, and it's loaded the same way as this one. You would put the gunpowder in, and then you would put the wad in. You put the silver ball in, and then there's a ramrod here, and you would take that out the same way that one, and you push it all in, pack it. You pull that back, it would create a spark, and it would shoot. Do the same thing. And then this one wasn't accurate either. Wasn't that accurate? So it was used for close combat, hand-to-hand combat too.
And it was mostly used by officers and cavalry during the time period. So.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now you can turn it off. Bye!